Assalamu alaikum. This is MONJUR'S V for you, Headmaster BADC High School, Mirpur, Dhaka. Today I will talk about the conditional sentences. This is the most important concept of English grammar. If anybody wants to learn English, definitely he will find this lesson very useful. One can handle some situation through using this lesson confidently and comfortably. So dear students, let's get started. Actually, sentences containing the word if are called conditional sentences. There are two parts of a conditional sentence: if clause and the main clause. We will be clear about the parts of a conditional sentences through an example. If you read attentively, you will pass in the examination. These sentences contain two clauses. If you read attentively, this is a clause. On the other hand, you will pass in the examination. This is another clause. This clause is called if clause. On the other hand, this clause is called the main clause. Why we call it if clause? As this clause contain the word if, that's why we call it if clause, and this clause shows the condition of the sentence. On the other hand, you will pass in the examination. This clause express its meanings independently without taking the help of another clauses. As this clause is able to express its meanings independently, that's why we call it main clause. This main clause shows the probable result of the condition when the condition is occurred. Dear students, we know all about the parts of conditional sentences from this example. Now we will talk about the classification of conditional sentence. There are four types of conditional sentences: zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and the last one, third conditional. In this video, we will talk about the zero conditional and first conditional. Here I have shown a table to easily identify the zero conditional and the first condition. Here the first column shows the type of conditional, and the second shows the structure of if clause, and the third column shows the structure of main clause, and the last one and the fourth column shows the characteristics of individual conditional sentences. Now we will talk about the zero conditional. First, I will write an example of zero conditional on the whiteboard. If ice melts, it becomes water. This is obviously a scientific truth. If ice melts, it becomes water. When ice melts, it doesn't turn into honey, or it doesn't turn into money, or it doesn't turn into oil. It always turns into water. Obviously, this is a scientific truth, and that's why we call it zero conditional, because zero conditional shows the general facts or truth. Zero conditional is a type of conditional in which the condition and the result is all about the same and is 100% truth. On the other hand, if clause contain the present simple. Present simple. I have shown here if clause of zero conditional contain if or when plus present simple. Here I see that if clause contain present simple. On the other hand, main clause of the zero conditional contain present simple. Here I see that the main clause of this zero conditional contain also present simple. If we visit the characteristics of zero conditional, we will see that these express real condition, general facts or truth or habitual matters. Here I see that if ice melts, it becomes water. This is a general truth or scientific truth. On the other hand, this is a real condition and this is 100% truth. That's why we call it zero conditional. Now we will see another example. We see nothing. If we close our eyes, we see nothing. This is also a real condition. This is the characteristics of zero conditional, real condition. If we close our eyes, we see nothing. This is obviously a real condition. If clause contain present simple and the main clause also shows the present simple, that's why we call it zero conditional. If I am hungry, I eat. This is also a zero conditional because if clause contain present simple and the main clause also contain present simple. Both clauses contain present simple, that's why it is zero conditional. On the other hand, it is a habitual matters. As the sentence express the habitual matters and contain the both clauses present simple, that's why we call it zero conditional. Dear students, what we knew from the zero conditional? Zero conditional contain present simple. If clause contain present simple and also the main clause contain present simple, and it express real condition, general facts or truth or habitual matters. When we see these types of characteristics in a sentence, obviously we will say that this is a zero conditional. Now we will talk about the first conditional. In terms of first conditional, if clause contain if plus present simple. On the other hand, main clause contain future simple and possible future outcomes based on the present situation. Actually, this is the main features of first conditional, is that we will get a possible outcomes based on the present situation. When the condition is occurred, at that time we will get a possible outcomes, possible results. We will be clear it through an example. If you read attentively, you will pass in the exam. This is the if clause and it is main clause. From the table, we know that if clause contain if plus present simple. Here I see that if and present simple. If plus present simple. If you read verb 1, read, here read is the base form of verb. That's why this clause contain if plus present simple and the main clause contain future simple. Subject plus will plus base form of the verb. Will plus base form of the verb, that means future simple. So we saw that if clause contain present simple and the main clause contain future simple. Table shows that if clause contain if plus present simple, if plus present simple. On the other hand, main clause future simple. Here we see that main clause contain future simple. That's why we call it first conditional. Now I will show another example. If you eat vegetables, you will get vitamin. Here if clause contain present simple and the main clause contain future simple. On the other hand, when you eat vegetables, you will get vitamin. That means when the condition is occurred, at that time you will get the possible result. If you don't eat the vegetables, you will not get the vitamin. When you eat vegetables, you will get the vitamin. That means when the condition is occurred, at that time we will get the possible outcomes. Here I have shown that possible future outcomes based on the present situation. Dear students, what we knew from the first conditional? If clause of the first conditional contain present simple, on the other hand, main clause of the first conditional contain future simple, and when the condition is occurred, we will get a possible future outcomes. This is the characteristics, or this is the main features of first conditional. Dear students, at the time of performing conditional sentence, keep in your mind a few matters: that use of comma, in conditional sentences, comma is used after the if clause. When the if clause is used at the beginning, you have to use comma after the if clause. But when you use if clause, when you don't use the if clause at the beginning, not necessary to use comma after the first clause. Like, you will pass in the exam if you read attentively. When you use main clause at the beginning, not necessary to use comma here. When you use if clause at the beginning, at that time after the if clause you will use comma. Like, when you use if clause at the beginning, at that time you will use comma after the if clause. On the other hand, when you use main clause at the beginning, not necessary to use comma after the main clause. This is the most important matter for using for conditional sentences. Dear students, keep in mind in another thing that at the time of zero conditional, you can use when instead of if. If ice melts, it becomes water. Here I use if. But you can use when instead of if here at the time of zero conditional. For this, there is no change the meaning of the sentence. Dear students, this is all about the zero conditional and the first conditional. See you again in next class.